Hello boys and girls. It's been over a week since the release of the enhanced version of GTA 5. This new version includes several visual upgrades such as ray tracing with global illumination and ambient occlusion, support for Nvidia DLSS 3 and AMD FSR1, FSR3, compatibility with higher resolutions, aspect ratios, and frame rates. Today, I will be testing its performance using a GTX 1650 graphics card. For this test bench, I will be using the GTX 1650 DDR6 model along with an Intel i5 12400F processor and 16GB of RAM. Before we start the video, as usual, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel and enjoy the video. Starting with the minimum preset, as we drive through the city, frames ranges from 90 to 100 fps with 1% low of 57 fps. On the other hand, during a thunderstorm, while driving through the city, frames drop even to 70 fps at some instances, still remaining above 90 fps for the most of the time. As we move to the forest areas, frames range between 80 to 90 fps with 81 fps as minimum and 1% low of 61 fps. At the top view of the city and while paragliding through the city, frames remain always above 100 plus fps with a 1% low of 57 fps. During the explosions, the frames range between 70 to 80 fps with a 1% low of 57 fps. Inside buildings like Michael's house, frames remain consistently above 100 fps with a 1% low of 58 fps. In cutscenes, frames range between 90 to 100 fps with a 1% low of 60 fps.
That asshole is about to kill himself. Which asshole? Oh, that perfect investor guy. Shit, whatever. You're obligated to tell me.
On the beach, frames lie in the range of 90 to 111 fps with 1% low of 58 fps. While jet skiing or under the water, frames remains the same. In the areas with grass and vegetation, frames do not fall below 85 fps with a 1% low of 56 fps. While flying the plane, frames lie in the range of 100 to 130 fps with a 1% low of 60 fps. Moving on to the high preset, starting with driving through the city, frames lie in the range of 70 to 80 fps with a 1% low of 56 fps. During thunderstorm, while driving in the city, frames finally fall below 60 fps as low as 55 fps in the range of 50 to 60 fps with the 1% of 17 fps. In forest areas, frames stick close to 60 fps with 1% of 17 fps. At the top of the crane and while paragliding, the frames lie in the range of 70 to 85 fps with a 1% of 17 fps. During the explosions, the frames fall as low as 41 fps, never reaching 60 fps with a 1% of 17 fps. Inside buildings, frames lie in the range of 60 to 90 fps with a 1% of 17 fps. During cutscenes, frames ranges between 70 to 80 fps with a 1% of 17 fps.
That asshole is about to kill himself. Which asshole? Oh, that perfect investor guy. Shit, whatever. You're obligated to tell me.
In beach areas, frames stay close to 80 fps, rarely falling below 80 fps with 1% of 57 fps. During jet skiing and underwater diving, frames lie in the range of 70 to 80 fps with a 1% of 54 fps. In areas of grass and vegetation, frames stay below 60 fps, rarely touching 60 fps. While flying the plane, frames lie in the range of 70 to 90 fps with a 1% of 35 fps. Moving on to the final preset of the game, very high preset. While driving in the city, frames fall below 60 fps, even dropping to 40s with 1% of 39 fps. During the thunderstorm, as expected, frames lie in the range of 40 to 60 fps with a 1% low of 35 fps. In forest areas, performance is similar between 40 to 60 fps with 1% low of 36 fps. At the top view and during paragliding, frames lie in the range of 50 to 60 fps with 1% low of 35 fps. During explosions, frames stick close to 40 fps with a 1% low of 36 fps. Inside the buildings, the frames increases and lie between 60 to 80 fps with 1% low of 36 fps. During the cutscenes, frames fall as low as 35 fps. On the beach areas, frames lie between 40 to 60 fps with 1% low of 35 fps. While jet skiing, the frames lie close to 40 fps, but when diving under the water, frames get close to 60 fps. In the areas with grass and vegetation, frames lie between 30 to 50 fps with a 1% of 37 fps. And while driving the plane, frames vary between 40 to 87 fps. Moving on to the verdict, game can be still played at very high preset but without a 60 fps experience. I would recommend playing it at high preset. Thank you for watching and I will see you guys in the next video.